Hello, everybody. Another author's chat from Kahaani Koncerti. And we have two of my very old friends with me today. One is Anjana Basu, and the other is Avijit Dutt. Now, since Avijit Dutt's book is that we are discussing today, the book is called Gajaraj, which means the Elephant King. Am I right, Avijit? That's the Elephant King, Gajaraj. And he is now. Who is Avijit Dutt is little too long for me to explain. But I said, first of all, both of them have been very old friends and colleagues in advertising. So Avijit and I, to start with, again, go back to somewhere in the early 80s, as a matter of fact. We were in the same agency. And don't ask me which agencies, because most of the agencies that at least he and I have been all over. They're all over. Yeah. Nobody knows them. Anjana still is with some agencies whose names are still connectable, but agencies like ACIL and IBM, IBNW, these are all gone, and that's where. Now, Avijit has been an advertising writer, strategist, but more importantly, he has been an actor, thespian. So he is a thespian, and he has acted in a whole lot of films, Indian films, as also Hollywood films. And I think there was one film where his co-actor was Dame Judi Dench. Is that right? Yes, there you are. Indeed. And not only that, Avijit has also directed a couple of films, one of which was with Girish Karnad. And there in that film, he had to make Girish Karnad walk. And when he told Girish that, I'm sorry, but, this particular today, you have to walk. He said, I'm very happy to walk because I started my life walking to school. So you remember that story, you too?
I'm very grateful that you remember this.
No, not at all. I thought that was an amazing story. And then I got his book, Girish Karnad's book, that his autobiography. Right. And there it all fell into place. And sometime back, just after Girish Karnad had died, we had done a short memorial. And Abhi had come and talked about his experiences with Girish. And we had also read out from, I think, one of his plays, However Then or whatever. You remember in that Oxford Inn. So now this time Abhi is in a new avatar. The avatar so far has been script, theater, films, and what have you. And by the way, there was a time when, early days, when there were very, very few, almost on your fingertips, you could count our friends who were on Wikipedia. And Abhi Dutt was one of them. So we used to say, this guy, our friend, he's on Wiki, see. So that's it. Now, he has now turned an author. He has written a book, that Gajaraj. So we'll be talking about the Gajaraj. This is his first book. And now Anjana. And I again go back years in advertising. And we've never worked together, but we kept on bumping into each other here and there. And she's incidentally known as the tigress in the advertising business in Kolkata, because everything about her is the tiger and the tigress. So if today is Holi, then the tiger is playing Holi. If tomorrow it's something, and that endears us. The tigers must be loving you, Anjana, because she has books on the tiger, and that's the whole thing on. So she keeps talking about tiger and promoting them. Very sweet fellows, these tigers. And then she has also worked very closely with Rituparno. And having worked with Rituparno, when I say closely, worked in the same team and has translated the Rituparno scripts into English. So that is a big volume like that. And we had, again, Kahaani Koncerti had the privilege of hosting an author's chat with Anjana on Rituparno. How did it happen? How was Ritu as a colleague, as also an actor, and also he was a script writer and the translator. And this book published by Jadavpur University Press is called Writing for Ritu. So that's the whole book. So that's Anjana, and Anjana looks after Kahaani Koncerti. She she puts me on to a lot of writers to get them, and does reviews. And most of our book reviews, if you see in Kahaani Koncerti, are by Anjana on something or the other. They just come. So, and she has been she's been holding my hand as far as this part of the Kahaani Koncerti is concerned. So I think I have done my bit of, putting Abhi and Anjana. So you all know, in case you all didn't know, you all know who they are. So Anjana, can you start talking about Gajaraj?
Yeah, sure. But I think I should hold up the book first.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Since we are launching it, so this is the book and the cover.
Great.
So everybody, now you know what it looks like. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna get into conversation with Avijit, and this is his first book, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
After 6 plays.
After 6 plays, yeah.
Yes.
So therefore, that's an interesting thing about it. As an actor, you're used to playing characters, right? So how did you get into this elephant character?
If I may,
Yeah.
Anjana and I actually go back a long way. We did our MA at the same time, and we're the same vintage. And we actually know each other since then. How I came to Gajaraj, An Elephant Remembers, is really, I'd been to the Andamans, where I met a delegation of the ruling party who were coming back victorious from further south, Lakshadweep. And they were talking about, what they're going to do with Lakshadweep. How they will convert it into this remarkable destination where people will come in droves and they will chop the trees and lay out railway lines. And I was aghast, thinking, how insensitive can we be, human beings? I'm not talking about the political party or anything, but just us human beings. That left a telling impact on my mind. So I really sat down and started writing this book, literally. And I enjoyed that world. And it gets a little sad at the end, but I love their triumphs, their jubilation, their victories in the forest. I love that whole experience.
Yeah. So how did you get into the character development of an elephant? That is the part of it. Because as an actor, you develop many characters. Even in the plays, you develop characters.
Right.
So how did you do this one?
I've always told stories to my children. So they would necessarily be this elder person and these younger people. I think it's a rub off from there. Here, the old elephant Gajaraj is off on its last march, literally, to go and proceed to his death, when he meets this young whippersnapper. And they suddenly both encounter a forest that neither knew existed, literally, because they are joyful with it. They're triumphant. And that helped me develop the character as I wrote it. I didn't ever sit and plot the character lines. When I'm acting, if somebody else has given me the script, I do necessarily plot out the character arc. Here, I never did. And I literally went with the flow and carried on writing.
Okay. And you also, because you met the ruling party and you got into what they were doing, you decided to get into this field of human-animal conflict.
Yes, yes.
And you've come up with this very interesting concept of manimal.
That's right.
You have a manimal united fight happening. So would you like to talk about that?
Right at the beginning, when the animals in the jungle had been accepting the road gang, saying, they're all right, they won't really disturb our forest. But once they started encroaching into the forest, the animals decided to take them on. Take them on not by attacking them at all, but by becoming a threatening presence. And word was spread that tomorrow morning we are all to assemble and no one is to make a false sound. No one is to go rubbing their backs on any trees. We have to be very disciplined. When they reached the line of the trees which face the road gang, They discovered on top of it were all the people from the jungle, the people who lived there, the human beings, who didn't have any covering for their feet, no shoes, who didn't have any hats, but they knew the land, and they were people of the land, who at first get a little scared that where are these animals coming? But then they realize the animals are on their side. And the animals at one time all begin their, their, their cry out, which till now the road gang hadn't taken seriously. Now they decide to drive towards them and enter a conflict. All the animals do is step further forward. And while the people up on the trees were going with ululation of etc., and this huge racket gradually got these people in the road gang to turn their vehicles around and start driving away. And a rain came down that time. The sky turned gray. It was as if in a silent tryst with nature, they had decided that they were going to not allow them in. So many gap-toothed vehicles and earth movers were parked and just ran away. People ran away from it. And that was the first manimal conflict that I call it.
Yeah, which is a very interesting concept, because right now we are faced with a hell of a lot of human elephant conflicts.
Yes.
If you've been reading the papers and keeping
track.
Because people are encroaching on elephant habitat.
Correct.
And we are having all these issues. There are now seemingly too many elephants.
Anjana, it really goes into the land that I'm talking about. I mean, old elephant tells the young one that when they take us and they chain us, we pretend to be their friends and remain there, because all we need to do is move our feet and the chain will snap. But they don't, and so on.
Yeah, that is the point. But your elephants are nonetheless very gentle at one level.
Yes.
You have not really shown elephant rage,
no.
except as this united front that they present.
Correct.
So there are certain aspects of elephant character which you have chosen to stay away from.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So was that, I mean, did you deliberately choose to do that?
Yes, I did, because my mind was all for them. I mean, if we were playing a game, then it was that team that I was supporting. And I was very clear about who I was talking against. So I didn't want to get into it at all. I've had an instance with an elephant. I was with Sunil Dutt in Corbett, and we were driving down. We went down a river and came out, and there was a little elephant in front. And while we were watching, I said to Dutt, I think we got some trouble here. He said, "Kya baat kar raha hai? Arey, this is a baby elephant." I said, "That's why we have trouble." So he said, "What do you mean?" So I started gunning the engine. The elephant didn't move. Very gradually, I started pulling back and reversing back into the river. Then the mother emerged, stopped there, let off a tremendous trumpet, and then sprayed the child with dust to express her annoyance, and literally collected him and took him away. So that was quite a moment, actually.
Amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Oh, but can I just come in, Anjana? I just want to ask you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Now that, the way you were telling me the story, Abhi, as always, you're a brilliant storyteller, and the story that you've written, it touched all over inside. How did you, two things I want to know from you. One is that how did you process the production and the publication of the book? That's number one. And number two, and I noticed it's a London publisher. And the
Yeah.
price tag is also in pound sterling.
Frightful.
And
Frightful.
So how do we convert that and make it into rupee and,
Rupees.
or whatever?
Unfortunately, they are not allowing me to do that.
Okay.
And I was very happy right then when they signed on the contract saying that at least I'll get it published and it'll be out.
Okay.
There was one publisher I took it to in India who said to me, "You really think, Mr. Dutt, I'm not mentioning the name of that publisher, you really think people will be interested in elephants talking to each other?"
My God.
So I said, well, I thought they would be. So that scared me off. And I was acting in Hamlet in England when I decided, what the heck? I had 2-3 days in hand, and I looked online and found this one publisher saying, we accept manuscripts which are not coming with any recommendations either. So I sent this. It wasn't complete then. The last 2 chapters or 3 chapters were left. They looked at it and said, we are very interested. When do you finish it? So I said, look, I'm in England and I'm very happy to meet you. They weren't interested in meeting. So I finished it and gave it. The contract said 249 working days. Bloody hell. I didn't really read that fine print. But 249 working days meant I missed out on the Jaipur Lit Fest. But as Sanjay said, there's always a next year. But I'm happy that it's just been launched yesterday. Amazon UK said that they were down in their supplies because lots of books were sold.
Ah, that's most encouraging, and that's it. Okay, another thing that I wanted to know, Abhi, is that this story lends itself into a film.
Yes, it does.
Now,
it does.
How do you plan to take it to the next stage?
Actually, I'm going to leave it to the publishers because they have a 50-50 deal with me, which is whatever they manage to sell, they share the revenue 50-50.
Okay.
Although I have controlling rights with the script, vis-a-vis, I can decide on not giving it to a producer. But they will take it across and across the pond into America also, because I think it lends itself to a great animated story.
Absolutely. In fact, absolutely. And when you were talking, I was just, looking at, in fact, I was trying to play in my mind the illustration that was on the cover. And that illustration is the real Gajaraj and whatever is happening. And well, yeah, it is remarkable. And let's keep our fingers crossed and let us hope that. And if you could be the sutradhar or the narrator to the whole thing, it would be because it's your Gajaraj. You know Gajaraj better. Yeah. Okay. Those are the 2 things I wanted to check with you, and happy that what has happened. But we'll have to get these books coming into India and also sold on shelves.
They have an Indian printer, not a publisher.
Okay.
So they're also getting it printed. I'm sorry, I'm not too sure of the names as yet.
Okay. No,
but they have also come into an agreement with them to print them here so that the movement is quicker.
Okay. Since this was your first, why did you choose a novella format?
I started writing and I was actually enjoying it so much that it carried on.
Yeah.
Then I controlled myself because we live in a time of short attention spans. Theater, we've discovered it that the moment we cross 90 minutes, we've got restlessness or snores, neither of which are welcome to our work. So I thought that limit it. Once I started limiting it, the story lent itself to that limiting. Although I was sorely disappointed to leave them and finish the book. But well, it all has its own life.
It does, because I would say, for example, my children's books are usually 20,000 words,
Right.
which works, right? And I guess you could have actually turned this into a children's story because it lends itself to that.
My only fear was that, of course, it lends itself to a children's book, but I wanted it to also be something which is relevant to people who are older.
Yeah, but I think that works either way, because a lot of children's books are relevant to adults.
Of course.
And you can talk about everything else. But anyway, you haven't done it. You haven't done it. I'm just saying you could have. The other thing I wanted to ask, have you read Dhanagopal Mukherjee?
No.
You should read Dhanagopal
Okay.
Mukherjee. He was the first Bangla writer in English whose children's books were published in America.
Wow.
And he actually has a book on an elephant called Sardar. And I recommend that you read, you try and get hold of Dhanagopal Mukherjee just for your own intrigue.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay, having
Lovely.
given you some gyan, let me ask, what was the most challenging task about
Dhanagopal
Mukherjee?
Yeah.
You do realize you're the first reviewer or person with a literary bent of mind who is read it and is responding.
Yeah, but you see, I've been doing this children's environment stuff for a while, no? So I've been doing it with tigers. Even though I've got an elephant prowling around in my book, Hide and Seek Tiger.
Wow.
Because the elephants come in to rescue people according to Jim Corbett's quotes.
Right.
Anyway, so therefore, and I've also discovered Dhanagopal Mukherjee. I said, okay, he's the first guy who started doing this.
Oh.
So, since you have, as I said, since you got into the Gajaraj, I recommend that you should probably read it.
Thank you.
Just by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. The other thing is, I wanted to ask, what was the most challenging aspect of writing this book for you?
To control the length.
Okay.
Because at one point I was just running with it. And then actually I stopped and I said, give it some time, put it away. And I came back to it when I scrapped 2 chapters and changed the structure a little bit to make it a little more crisp and tight.
Okay. Right. The other thing is you've kept it as a bonding between 2 male elephants. One young male and one old male.
Yes.
Why are the ladies not involved? Where is Arkat's mother?
Yeah. No, I'll tell you. Because the elephants have a strange thing. They leave their mothers when they have grown up. And the fathers don't know anything about bringing up a child or playing with a child or taking the child through discoveries and learning from them. So I thought this was a marvelous opportunity. Now, I could have definitely used Harkat, that is the little whippersnapper, as a girl. But then I had another problem with that. Because Harkat's whole intention is to jump. That why is my mother not allowing me to jump? But for heaven's sake, she's not allowing you to jump because, as Gajaraj tells him later, if you jump, you break your leg. And once an elephant breaks their leg, they are finished. Who is going to get them 300 kilos of trees and bushes to eat? Doesn't work. So finally, when they're parting ways, Harkat says, I will never ask for this again. Do stay with me. Don't worry, I will not jump. Little did he know that the old elephant was heading out to finally jump and end his life.
Very sad. It's really very sad.
At the end.
Touching, yeah.
Very touching. Okay, now now that the book is out and it has been officially launched, um, irrespective of having a UK price tag or a UK publisher, you planning anything to do in terms of the launch in Kolkata, Delhi?
Yeah. Anjana mentioned the Wayside Cafe.
Waypoint.
Sorry. And I also spoke to the Max Muller. So either one of them, just let me see. Of course, Tolly Club was an option, but Ruchir is launching his book tomorrow.
Yeah.
Over there.
Well, and that's his fourth launch, however.
Right. And I don't know how effective that will be. Because I think people there come to be seen. I don't know. Maybe
Tolly does have a green bunch of people who are into climate change and other things. So it might appeal to them.
Okay, right. So I guess that's the third option.
Yeah.
And Oxford is always there. They charge 17,000, allow you to do it.
Yeah, Waypoint doesn't charge, but has a nice Sunday morning session where everybody gets together happily and listens.
Wonderful.
Lovely.
Which is why I've done how many? 2 there. So that suited me. Now, if Tolly agrees to take it, it's good. Max Muller too, I don't know if they will charge or not charge. But
no, they won't.
Yeah, so that's your relationship with Max Muller, which could work.
What about Oxford? Too small, is it?
17,000.
Oh, 17,000. Oh, there's 17,000 here also.
No, 17.
17. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Because in Delhi it is 17.
I see. I remember you had done something there.
You see, what happens, Abhi, is that they are meant to be paid. They are meant to be rented out for book launches at 17 a day, evening. What happens in the month? There are some gaps.
Right.
When there are gaps, then they call us up and say, free lelo. Do something, because at least I'll get some footfall coming into the stores, and maybe 5 books may be sold as a process, because people come, they hang around, look at a book, and they buy some stationery. That is only if they're going free.
Right.
But once I had somebody who said that I'm paying 17. That's how I know the 17 figure. We were asked to, be the what do you call, the MCs. Basically be the tamasha hands, but the person paid that 17 and whatever happened. So I think we have got we have got a lot of material. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, this is probably the first authors chat that we have had in the Kahaani platform, where everything has been to the point, precise, and we're not going out of
Anjana and you.
No, not at all. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're an old friend, but I must tell something both to Abhi knows about it. Anjana, I will tell Anjana, and this is also for my viewers, as I call them, is that while they did mention that they are of that vintage, I remember you just mentioned of having sat down and done your masters together the same year.
Yes.
Abhi's father was my client, Anjana, when I was in Clarion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, okay. I must have been at the trainee level, or just become, the junior to junior AE or whatever. And we used to handle IISW and BM, that Indian Institute of Social Welfare and Business Management of Calcutta University. And he was then the director of that. But there's a funny story to it. They were basically those ads, admission open kind of thing. And as it so happened that one of those admission open, so-and-so MBA, statesman of all people printed the whole ad upside down.
Wow.
So
next morning, time.
At that time, that whole mat somehow got placed upside and out it was. So by the time I reached office shivering, I didn't know what to do. I was told, I got that there was a call from the managing director's office because Mr. D.K. Dutt has spoken to Mr. Prashant Sanyal. And that's how it went. So I said, well, and his secretary told me that look into it immediately, his instruction. So I got my media manager. Wow, what has happened? I'm getting fired. The MD has called. Your job will be at stake. All that happened, and then he said that okay, Statesman admitted there was a mistake, and he said he'll give us a. Remember those days there used to be a work called make good insertion.
Make good,
yeah.
Make good. So I called up his father and said, "I'm so sorry, sir, etc., etc., etc." The Statesmen have said that they're going to give us a make good free make FMG free make good insertion tomorrow. He said, Mr. Sanyal, I don't want a free make good. I want a very good insertion. So I said, assuredly, it will be a very good insertion. And Statesman did again give us a back page as a penalty for
wow.
So, but I had also tried to tell him, Jay, apnar viewership bede geche, because people must have turned the whole thing around. I don't think he was very amused with that, but that is what it was.
He wouldn't be.
Absolutely. So, Abhi, we look forward to you coming back here in town, and I'm also in town, and so maybe we can all catch up, three of us, and let's plan this book launch. And before I go back to Delhi,
you very much.
We'll do that. And thank you very much for being here, Anjana, as always. As I said that you're holding our hand as far as a lot of areas is concerned, and I look forward to catch up with you soon. Right. Thank you. Okay.
Lovely.
Okay, right. Happy shooting, Avijit.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.